Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to all of you today. It gives me immense pleasure to have our next speaker for LinkedIn Local India's third anniversary. My name is Vivek Chadha, and our next guest is Ramkrishna Sinha. His preferred pronoun is he. Ram calls himself a dreamer, believer, change maker. Ram is the co-founder of Pride Ciircle, an organization obsessed with impact. As India's first consultancy to provide customized solutions to empower organizations for LGBTI inclusion, Pride Ciircle carved a niche with disruptive and innovative solutions. Visionary initiative like India's first LGBTI job fair mentoring program, where the mentors and mentees are from this URM, marketplace by LGBTI owned businesses, etc. Ram has enabled multiple organizations on their journey of LGBTI inclusion. He has spoken at multiple global platforms, CXO leadership of various industries, and has also won multiple prestigious awards for his contribution of LGBTI inclusion. Ram publishes coming out stories from India to shed light on the diversity within the community, their achievements and roadblocks, and connecting them to the larger world by putting a face and a story to the community at 101comingoutstories.com. The blog has touched over 5 million lives. Ram is passionate about diversity and inclusion at the workplace. He led the formation of the LGBT ERG at Intel India and has nourished it from a single member to 1,000 plus allies. He worked on short films for gender sensitization and has provided important insights as member to core DNI team at Intel. He co-led a Women at Intel Network Vector of Lean-In, which was about networking and mentorship. I heartily welcome you, Ram, and I thank you for investing your time to join us today. So,
Thank you
Ram,
so much, Vivek.
what uh, wonderful credentials, and I'm very delighted, to give that introduction. Uh, so, Ram, what is the impact and learnings from the pandemic, and what is the outlook for 2021 and beyond? What can be hoped for? Over to you.
I think we're still learning from the pandemic. The whole world is, uh, in terms of what kind of a shock it can provide to the world. What started as a root shock, and I think something, what it really hurt us, well, it was right after Rise Delhi, which was on 22nd of Feb. We were so hopeful. There were so many organizations who had come to hire, and then everything went for like a shocking halt because companies, instead of hiring went on a freeze. Companies started at contingency measures or business continuity by enabling work from home. The country went on a serious lockdown, and that just kept continuing. So that was really hard. But we also adapted to the virtual world and did a lot more things. So we were able to engage the world for June Pride Month in the 21-day Ally Challenge, where while we ensure that we are physically distanced, we really needed to socially connect so that we build that message of allyship in the virtual world and continue that engagement. So we were able to do something called 21 Days Ally Challenge, a series of micro challenges for allies to understand how to really learn about the community and support the community. And we are very proud to have engaged like some 13,000 allies from 58 countries in that. And that was for the June Pride Month. The other disruptive thing we did in 2020 was Pride Hackathon, where we provided an opportunity for companies to come up with problem statements, and participants from the LGBT community could participate, provide uh, how to approach that problems, what could the solutions be. So it's not necessarily like a codeathon, so you don't necessarily have to give codes, but come up with an approach to the solution. And these are methods in which we take away the barriers of you have to have a certain education, you have to come from a certain place to be part of workplace, but rather an opportunity for you to provide your thought process, how do you approach a problem and bring that difference in diversity and lived experiences into real world problem solving. And that was a phenomenal success. And we are very happy to say that while there were like 10 winners for like sorry 16 winners for the problem statements, we also companies also had an opportunity to provide jobs and internship programs, and we already have 6 offers of internship and jobs through the Pride Hackathon, which happened which concluded in the month of November. So that's going on. And something which was kind of transformational for workplaces in India was India Workplace Equality Index. This is something we did in collaboration with Stonewall UK and KSF, which is Keshav Suri Foundation in India. Uh, because there's a lot of work that happens in the space of LGBT inclusion, Ivy became that benchmarking resource where companies could assess what they are doing in various spaces. Because when we talk about LGBT plus inclusion, it's not about doing five things right. It's about the thousand things we do as an organization. How do we look at everything from a lens of inclusion? And we see that there are no systemic barriers in that. And Ivy became that platform where companies could say, hey, this is what we have done in the last year, and this is the various areas we're working in, and also get a little comparative analysis of what is happening in the industry. So a little bit of healthy competition always helps companies to push the bar higher for inclusion. So while 2020, the quarter one ended in a rude shock, the world was just trying to figure out how to live with the pandemic. I think despite the challenges of the pandemic, despite the lockdown and all uh, its challenges, I think we as an organization continued to keep our focus on what is the objective, why we started this company, what we really wanted to do, and we were able to move quickly and transform into a space where we could translate all these impactful programs into a virtual world and still continue to build that engagement with organizations, with the community. We definitely did do a lot of focus on mental health as well this year, because that really, the pandemic really shone a big spotlight on that. LGBT community by default kind of sits in that intersection given the stigma and social challenges people face. So we did a series of webinars on mental health, engaging with experts from the mental health community professionals, and talking about various aspects of simple thing like what could the few five things we do in our day-to-day practices. So we build a mental health resilience, we build mental wellness in our part of day-to-day schedule, right? And other aspects of building allyship, focusing on trans people. How it started with like quick measures on really helping people in need while the lockdowns started, and the other spaces was like how do we continue to build that engagement in the virtual world. So that has been
And
the pandemic year for us.
fantastic, Ram. Excellent points. And so, how do you see going forward? How do you see 2021 and thereafter? You know, uh, what are the initiatives, new initiatives that you're taking, and
There are
how
a
do you
lot
see
of
the long
plans.
term?
Yeah, there are a lot
Sure.
of plans for 2021 because that's what we do. We plan for the best and work hard for that. And 2021, we have planned some really amazing things. So the job fair, which is Rise, which is reimagining inclusion for social equity, which is our flagship program of Asia's biggest LGBT plus conference, job fair and marketplace. The conference is where we get like 50 plus national and international speakers from around the world talking about really different aspects of inclusion for LGBT perspective from a workplace perspective. So that's definitely there, and it's going bigger with 75 plus speakers. It's going to be a 2 day conference now on May 4th and 5th. The job fair will be on 8th of May. It will be virtual, so people from anywhere in India can participate. And so we're really looking forward to a transformational growth in that as well. And for the marketplace, what we wanted to do was support LGBT owned businesses through a 1 day program where they used to set up their stall at Rise. Now we making it truly digital, and we're making it a 365 days of a marketplace. So to in layman's term, we're saying we're building the Amazon of LGBT owned businesses in India. So if you are any LGBT owned business person, any entrepreneur who may not have resources to build a website or to build a social media team, you can just make a product or services and list on a portal, and the whole world is open to you. So that's the biggest thing we're doing. We're really transforming the ecosystem for LGBT owned businesses, and we're backing this up with a much bigger Pride Chamber of Commerce, where we really put together opportunities and a complete ecosystem for individuals and organizations to ideate, incubate, and accelerate the businesses. So it's not complete support in terms of from legal, from website, and other tools and technologies people need for accelerating their businesses. So we're working to build that ecosystem together. So we are really able to transform these businesses in terms of scale and growth, the access to customers, and how they really translate in terms of the size they grow into. There's a stat I came across that only 0.5% of MSME businesses in India really transform to the next year, and we really want to see that number change, particularly for LGBT owned businesses. and Pride Chamber of Commerce is that answer.
Interesting. I was coming to that point, Ram. So diversity and inclusion is at a very nascent stage in India, and the percentage of companies having these programs is very, very minuscule. So if a small company, for example, has to start on that journey, what advice would you give to them? Because people, still whatever said and done, India is still not, majority of people do not know where to start, what to say. If somebody wants to start an initiative in the team, he does not know whether to go to the CEO, the HR head, what to do. So what will be your advice? What are the steps, 1, 2, 3, that the team can start with?
Sure, absolutely. So I think diversity is not unknown to India. I mean, we see people around us who speak different languages, come from very varied backgrounds, the language, the food, clothing, everything changes. So diversity is something that's very normal to all of us, right? So I think translating from diversity to inclusion is the key. Understanding that when we build workplaces, it's important that different set of people with very varied backgrounds are able to bring their whole self to work, because that is where the business outcome is tied to. If people are not able to be themselves and are hesitant about speaking up, or will not be able to share their ideas, will not be able to engage constructively because they feel that they're not valued for their aspect of diversity. And so the idea is, first of all, understand what are the various diversity strands and what their challenges are. And when we talk particularly in the context of LGBT plus inclusion, a lot many times, because we don't know anyone who is LGBT plus, we don't know the challenges people face. And the second thing is, like, we think that this is something which is private. We say love is love. This is okay. We don't know who care who you love with, who you are in love with, and what you do at home. This has nothing to do with the workplace. Not realizing that sexuality and gender identity are very much intertwined with the workplace, right? The simple example be like, if I'm getting married, uh, I invite my colleagues to my wedding. And if I was getting married to a woman, it's very easy for me to extend that invitation. But if I was getting married to a guy, that may not be the same. Uh, Intersection of simple things like, do we talk about our kids at the workplace? Do we talk about our in-laws at the workplace? All of us talk about it because it's part of our personal life. And realizing that sexuality, gender identity, these terms are not about a certain act or a certain period of time when you do engage in certain activities at home. It is something which is part and parcel of your life. So it is important that we're able to have that conversation at the workplace. So understanding, first of all, first step would be to engage with the community to understand what are the challenges from a workplace context. Second thing, once you have a good understanding of what the challenges are, figure out how does it tie to the business case. That's more important, because at the end of the day, business are here to make a product or deliver a service. That is the primary objective. All DNI initiative do is help the business to do that better by really enabling the human capital workplaces have, so they are really able to transform them, right? Because stats from Stonewall says that there's a 30% loss of productivity when people are not themselves at the workplace in the LGBT plus context. So when you translate a, a seemingly social problem to a business problem and tie it to business outcome, and show that, hey, these are the various steps we can take to make that difference, to really solve the business, solve the issue of losing productivity, right, from a certain section of the population. So there's a lot of a lot of content around the business case for LGBT plus inclusion. Please read up, and you will have a lot of information available, and we are always there to help you understand how to take the first steps and translate that opportunity of inclusion at the workplace, irrespective of the size or the kind of organization you are.
Wonderful, Ram. That was very enlightening, and thank you so much for sharing your views. I hope millions of organizations partner with Pride Circle, and in 2021 you meet your benchmarks and goals that you have set, and we are cheering for you. LinkedIn Local is there to support you, and we really look forward to the partnership and success of Pride Circle. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you, Rick.
joining
Thank you
us.
very much. We'd love to
And
partner with you and congratulate you on the third anniversary, and hope for many more of these.
thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you around.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.